Hi guys, how you doing? As you can see, today's video we're gonna talk about atmosphere. I'm just gonna keep you a little bit updated on the progress so far, what has happened and what is gonna happen, and which direction the game is going into. Now, as you can see, we got a background, we got some kind of stars, we got a new asteroids on the screen, and they are destructible. So they got a couple of shapes that happen before they actually get destroyed. So we're gonna see that. We got a zoom. Zoom is very nice. As you zoom more and more out, the background kind of disappears because technically you should not be playing at this big zoom. It's more like a map. So I'm thinking, instead of pressing M for map, you should be able to zoom out and then see the map of the stars. As you can see also, when we zoom out, the FPS goes down to like 25, 24, something like that. But that's because we got 4,000 asteroids that are being rendered on the screen. Now, this is gonna be an easy fix. It's just changing the asteroids, removing the shape and the sprites, and just adding some kind of dots on the screen that will pretty much fix the FPS issue. So that's not a problem whatsoever. But we got 4,000 asteroids up here, and all asteroids are destructible, and they will be dropping after a while. So when you kind of zoom out a little bit up here, you'll see that we're losing the background. But when you zoom in, the background comes back into it. Now let's restart the game, and you'll see also on the load time 4,000 asteroids generating, and the background is actually just a huge sprite that's rendered all over the place. So it does take a little bit while to load, so there will be some kind of loading screen at the start of the game. I'm guessing, I don't think we're gonna have 4,000 asteroids. We're gonna have around 2,000 asteroids in the game. But basically, when the game starts, there will be definitely some kind of loading screen or something like that. I hope that's not a big deal for most people. I mean, there won't be any kind of loading screen during the game, but while the game, starts up, there will be loading screen. So, since last time, most of my time spent has been, on drawing the asteroids, and we got right now 25 or wait, how many we got? 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 7 asteroids. I think 25 asteroids, give or take, different asteroids with different shapes. And I know what some of you thinking. I mean, they look like a little bit like popcorn. At least the small ones. The big ones are actually pretty nice and pretty decent. The big ones are pretty nice, but the small ones actually look like popcorn. So I'm a little bit unsure whether I'm gonna keep them in the game or change the shape or something like that. But some of the here we got 3 of the same kind, but some of the very small asteroids do look like here's also one. What are the other small ones? Here is another small one in there and there. So the small ones do in fact look definitely like popcorn. So, but it's a comic style game. So everything goes. Now every single asteroid has also three different sprites. So this is the first stage, and then when you start destroying it, it gets to the second stage. This is the second stage of the asteroid when it starts to crack up. And when you keep on destroying it, it gets to the third stage. Over here, it's almost destroyed, and then you continue, breaking it, and it explodes. So we don't have to have any kind of, hit points indicator on the screen or anything like that. Because when you're making some kind of adventure game or RPG game or something like that, where the stats are not that important, but the feeling of the game is important, you want to avoid all kind of numbers that you can avoid in the game. You want to show what's happening by just looking on the game. So when destroying the asteroids, there is no hit points, damage being done or anything like that. But you can definitely see that asteroids are being destroyed, and eventually they explode. So you can kind of feel the asteroids losing hit points and getting destroyed. So I think that's a very nice feature, because we are avoiding the numbers on the screen, and that's what I want to try to do with this game. I want to avoid all the kind of numbers that I can, and I just want to make the game feel kind of nice when destroying stuff over here. And it works for every single asteroid. It's very nice, and yeah, it works actually quite nice. So I've been I cannot draw. I'm very bad at drawing, so I've been using a lot of time to figuring out the shades, how to draw the asteroids, how to, you know, how to be. You can see on the asteroid up here, it is, you know, we got some kind of shading going on, we got some kind of, you know, light shading, you know, deep shading, we got some kind of cracks, some kind of, you know, shapes, some kind of, you know, craters and stuff like that. And I think, you know, it came out pretty well, and I'm pretty happy with the asteroids. Now, the sprites and the texture won't be, you know, AAA game textures or anything like that. I mean, that's not gonna happen. I'm not gonna hire anybody to do the drawings for me, so that's not gonna ever happen. But you know, from what I can do, you know, I think it's pretty decent. I think it's pretty decent, and it does give a game a very nice feel, you know, cartoonish feel. So, you know, that's well. So, you know, asteroids are pretty much done, and I'm really happy with them. You know, now we have to add, you know, once the asteroids get hit, there needs to be some kind of explosion or around the bullets. We also need to, you know, once we start hitting, there needs to be, you know, coming out some kind of, you know, some kind of materials, metals and stuff like that out of the asteroids and stuff like that. And when they explode, you know, a lot more of that needs to come out, and then you're gonna be able to pick that up, and then we have to, you know, do the inventory system. You know, there's a whole bunch of stuff to do, but you know, the progress is going nice. So the asteroids, I'm really happy with the asteroids. Use too much time on these kind of things. I've been sitting just drawing all the time, and you know, it kind of goes very, very slow, but you know, once they're done, they're kind of done, you know, so we don't have to think about asteroids anymore. And 25 asteroids is pretty decent size, you know, to give some kind of feeling of what are you gonna say, it gives some kind of feeling of, you know, distribution, or you know what I mean. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't feel the same all over the place. Like, they're definitely, you know, different kind of asteroids. You're gonna destroy them, and you know, so we also need to, you know, set how many of the big asteroids there should be. A lot more, you know, small asteroids than big asteroids and stuff like that, but you know, we are not quite there yet. The second thing we did is adding the background. The background was also a big problem to, you know, get right. Now, as you can see here, we got some kind of nebulas, but they're not actually nebulas. It's just kind of, you know, atmosphere in the space. Because when you're playing with the plain background, or you're playing with some kind of nebula in the background or something like that, too much of the screen is black, and I really don't like, you know, space games that have black screen in the background. It just kind of doesn't feel right. It feels too dark. It feels there is no atmosphere, no nothing, right? But when you add this kind of, you know, fog, this I would call that fog. I wouldn't call it nebulas. I mean, it does look like nebulas, but you know, it's more like a fog on the screen, and it does give some kind of, you know, feeling that you're flying through space, through something, right? Also, we don't have to have any kind of velocity loss. We got stars in the background. You can see the stars in the background over here, but the stars are more like, you know, to give some kind of impression of also the space. So I needed to add the background and the stars before I actually did the ship movement, because when you just have one color in the background, it's really hard to see how your ship moves and how it behaves and stuff like that, right? So that's the next thing I'm gonna do after this video. That's, you know, fixing the ship movement. I did fix it already quite a pretty decent amount, but I'm still not, you know, 100% happy with how the ship moves and behaves. So I'm gonna be, you know, exploring that a little bit more and trying to, you know, fix that, so that it becomes a lot nicer. So we are not quite there yet, but you know, I'm glad that we are done with the background, and I think this is, you know, the release kind of background that we're gonna have. So I don't think we're gonna change the background anymore. I don't think we're gonna change the asteroid. You know, we might update the ship and stuff like that, but you know, the ship is pretty much set as well. We're gonna change the lasers and the missiles and the bullets and stuff like that, and the turret over here a little bit, but you know, most of it is just gonna stay the way it is, and right now it does feel, you know, very, very nicely. So I'm pretty happy with that. The next thing we actually did is the zoom. Yes, zoom I actually fixed yesterday, and I'm really, really happy with the zoom, because it works really, really nice. It works really, really nice. You can zoom once you zoom in a very, you know, close, you know, it goes slowly, but you know, when you zoom in a lot, it goes faster and faster, and then you can zoom all the way until, you know, the entire space is zoomed out. But you can see here, you know, just one color in the background. It's not really, you know, there is no atmosphere, there's no feeling to the game. But and when you zoom in over here, when you actually have a, where you are moving the ship, you see the background. So it's very nice. But I'm super happy with how the zoom played out, because I had a couple ideas how to make this happen and what I wanted to actually accomplish with the zoom. And I understand that over here, for example, this is how the people will start with playing the game. Very zoomed in, very nicely. But I understand that certain things when it comes to games, just because you think they're gonna play out, they don't kind of feel the same way that you think they're gonna feel, right? So, for example, one of these things that I didn't think I'm gonna do was shooting, because I added shooting that you can shoot only one bullet at a time in the start. And I was thinking that's nice because, shoot, 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 shoot. But then I got my kid to play the game, and he just loved this, spread shooting, machine gun shooting kind of stuff, and it does feel indeed a lot better. This kind of shooting feels a lot better than tuk 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 tuk. So what feels good and what you think feels good is two different things. One big example that I can give you of that is the destruction of the asteroids. So before I started actually creating the asteroids, I really wanted the destructible asteroids. I wanted, you hit the asteroids and, part of them, spread around. But what I figured out once I started making it, it's not very fun. I mean, the shape of the asteroid kind of gets, destroyed and stuff like that, and doesn't look good. The shape doesn't look good, and the asteroid doesn't feel right, and it takes too long time to destroy one asteroid, and you got 2,000 asteroids. So I figured out just, shooting the asteroid and make it explode after a while, it's a lot better feeling than actually, just, destroying the asteroids one by one. So what you think feels good, or what you think is gonna be good, and what actually is good is two different things. So you gotta try it a little bit out. The same goes with the zoom. I had some kind of ideas what I wanted to make and what's gonna feel good, and I tried different ways to actually accomplish it. I did actually make 3-4 different types of zoom, but this over here is actually really smooth and really nice. So when you're playing the game, when you're driving the ship, it's really nice, just zooming out, zooming in, and see what's happening up here. You come close to the asteroid, you can over here you can zoom in, you can stop up here, you can inspect the asteroid, you might even scan the asteroid, and when you want to go away, zoom out, and then if you want to see which direction you're going, you can zoom out and see which direction you're going and stuff like that. So zoom, I'm really happy with. So those three things are three big things that we did over here, and they took more than more than I would like to, when it comes to time. Now, when it comes to time and the programming, I don't program 8 hours a day every single day. I got 3 kids, I got my day job, I got stuff to do. So I program when kids are in bed. If I got 1-2 hours on I'm happy about that. Sometimes I don't even have that. When during the when they're in school. Right now nobody's half the kids are not at school, they're in kindergarten, but kindergarten is closed. So I make the game when I have time, and when I don't have time, I'm still on my mobile phone trying to figure out certain stuff, right? So I understand that a lot of people are using a lot of time in the game, and this doesn't seem like that much progress, but to me, it's a huge progress so far, and I really liked it. I also checked out a video from a girl. She just started, programming a game, and she did more in 1 week than I think I will do in 1 month or 2 months or 3 months or something like that. I mean, the progress with that girl is insane. She's making some kind of boat progress. I'll put the link down below. I think it's an interesting video to check out. But the girl is insane when it comes to programming, and she really enjoys mathematical models and doing stuff with the game. So it might play out very nicely. But so far I'm not actually using that much. And when we are on the topic of what feels good and what you think is gonna feel good, here's another thing. You see the asteroids up here. Right now they are not actually randomly generated up here. They don't have a random shape. They have a shape based on their on a Perlin noise. So I used Perlin noise to generate shapes because I wanted these kind of black spaces in the middle up here, so not everything will look how you gonna say it? It won't look very static. It won't look very static. And if you have a Perlin noise, then you can get these nice black spaces in between the asteroids that are gonna feel nice. So we actually did that. So here we are in the code, And here is the generate asteroid code. So the only thing we do over here is create this Perlin noise, set some kind of values on that, and we generate the asteroids by the amount. So right now there are 2,000 asteroids to generate. Let's crank this down to 2,000 just for reasons, and you'll see here in asteroid asteroid function get asteroid field noise location for position setting. We only have to change 2 variables up here, to get this distance in space. So let's do that. So right now we're just gonna increase the a little bit these values up here, and what you're gonna see here once we start the game is that there are actually black spaces between the asteroids. Now, if you zoom out a little bit up here more, right now you can see these black, empty spaces between asteroids. And you would think that this would be a lot more enjoyable to play, because right now you got these clusters of asteroids that you can fly to and stuff like that, but it's not. I tried it, several times, but it takes too long time, for example, to fly from this cluster over here to this cluster over here, and it just kind of doesn't feel the same. It's a lot nicer. We can just go to from asteroid to asteroids all over the place, and then you have to avoid the asteroids and stuff like that. So just because you think something is gonna feel better doesn't necessarily have to feel better, right? You gotta try it out. You gotta test it. You gotta try to fly it. You gotta experience how it actually feels when you are actually in the game, and this doesn't actually feel good. We can actually crank up this a little bit more up here. Let's do 20 up here, and let's do 3 up here, and you'll see that the difference in the space becomes larger, but the gameplay, the feel of the gameplay is not becoming any better. The feel of the gameplay is nice. I mean, it looks nicer. It doesn't look 100% random and stuff like that, but once you're done with these asteroids, then you gotta go to this asteroid page up here and this asteroid page over here, and it's not kind of the style that you want to play. So the best solution I've come so far is just right now keeping it very tightly with some kind of small distance between the asteroids, but it's still you still got these small patches, but not that much. I mean, it still looks like very random, scattered space all around, especially when there are 4,000 asteroids. And this feels a lot better when it comes to playing, because you don't have to fly that far to get to the next asteroid, right? Even from this patch over here to the next patch is very short distance. You can just continue shooting, and when you add 4,000 asteroids, it does seem even more tightly than it is right now. So there's that. So the good thing about the one thing that when it comes to game making is that you gotta try it out. There is often times where you think something is gonna be good and it's just not, right? But you test it out, you figure it out, and you figure out whether that's good or not. That said, there is stuff that I can do in game, and there is stuff that I can't do in game. Like when it comes to background, for example, I tried to actually make this with a Perlin noise, the fog, the Perlin noise that spreads all over the place, and the Godot crashed a couple of times. I mean, when you try to make a big, big sprites with Perlin noise and stuff like that, it just crashed the game. And then I tried different kind of things where where the fog moves and this and that, and I tried using particles, but the best feel I could get when it came to that is just using a big ass sprite. This is actually a huge sprite. Entire this black space is just these are sprites right next to each other all over the place. The same kind of sprite, but it's pretty huge. I think it's 10,000 times 10,000 sprite, so it does use a lot of RAM in the memory. So maybe I'm gonna change that eventually if the game becomes too memory heavy or something like that. But there are things in the game that I can do when it comes the technical side. I'm not very smart when it comes to programming or mathematics or anything like that. So and then there is also things that I think that I think they will work out, but they just don't kind of work out, right? So when making a game, the progress is more like, I know what I want to do, and I'm trying to do that. If I can do that, then I look if that's gonna feel good or not, and if it doesn't feel good, then I have to change it until I find something that feels good. And oftentimes the end product is nothing like I have imagined, but it does, you know, it does become good. It does become good. So that's very good, good thing for the game, because even though I started the game based on, you know, SolarWinds, if you know what kind of game that is, I want to make a, you know, a copy of SolarWinds, you know, just my version of that. But it doesn't look anything like SolarWinds, but it is some kind of adventure game at the end. Hopefully at the end it will become adventure game. But we are not quite there yet. So we're gonna see, you know, how progress is going and, you know, which direction the game takes. But it's also a little bit exciting because you never know, you know, what might come out. You know, sometimes you write some kind of, you know, formula for something, you make something and suddenly, oh my God, look at that. You know, it's exceptional. It doesn't fit maybe in what you're doing right now, but you know that you're gonna use exactly that thing that you just made somewhere else and it's gonna work perfectly over there. So the game kind of changes, so that's very exciting. So the reason we are making right now this update is number one, we did the sprites on the asteroids, we did the background, and that was what I needed to do before the next step. And the next step is actually fixing the movement of the ship, you know, the clicking, and, you know, what we're gonna do when we are targeting and stuff like that. The problem with shooting up here is I had you know, focus target on the left mouse button. So when you press left mouse button, you focus target and then you can shoot. But the problem was when you're shooting and targeting at the same time, it automatically shoots the target. So that wasn't, you know, that wasn't working well. So the better way is, you know, focus with the right mouse click and, you know, shoot with the left mouse click. So if you want to shoot a target, you can still shoot a target without actually focusing the target, right? So that's actually good. For example, up here, if you got a couple of asteroids up here, let me just fly over here for example. Here's the problem. Like, let's say I want to shoot this target over here, but I want to throw missiles on this target over here, right? So we have to target this one and fire missiles at that target while at the same time shooting at this one target up here. And this works well, right? But assume that we had, you know, left mouse click as focus target, and right now this is focus, and right now I want to shoot at this target, then it kind of changes the focus target. So, you know, it has to be different kind of clicks. So the focus button cannot be left mouse button, and the right mouse button works very nicely with the focus. Works very focused. But this is the kind of things that I need to also, you know, think about. And I think I've come to a conclusion what I think might feel good when it comes to shooting. Also the rays, you see the rays, they are directional with the ship, and it's also a very you know, it's a very clunky kind of way to fly and shoot with directional rays. So the rays will be following the mouse as well, and the missiles right now are just shooting in random position, but they go, you know, they're shooting in random position, but they turn towards the target, right? But what I'm gonna do, or at least what I'm thinking is gonna be good, I'm not actually sure, so it might actually change, just like I explained to you right now. What I think, you know, might be good doesn't have to necessarily be good, but, you know, we're gonna come to some kind of you know, ending there. The gun will be directional with the mouse, the laser will also be directional with the mouse, and the missiles will also be directional with the mouse. Now the way this is gonna work is that we are gonna add that you can only fire one type of weapon at a time. So you're not gonna be, you know, shooting the laser, shooting this, and you know, and firing missile at the same time. You won't be doing all three things at the same time. You will be doing one thing at the same time. You will be doing one thing at a time, and that's gonna be it. If you look some other games like, you know, Overwatch, World of Warcraft, any other, you know, game that there is a lot of multiplayer players, or any other, a lot of these, you know, indie games, they have a lot of NPCs on the screen. They're shooting all over the place. The screen is filled with explosions, with effects, with everything. And I kind of don't like that kind of game, especially not in some kind of adventure game. So I want some kind of, you know, slow-paced PvE content where I fight, you know, NPCs very slowly, but it's still gonna be very enjoyable. I mean, you will be able to, you know, shoot, avoid, you know, put some kind of you know, shield barriers or something like that up in the space and stuff like that. So it needs to be some kind of slow-paced combat. I think that's gonna be feeling a lot better than, you know, just having, you know, 2000 you know, bullets in the screen, you know, a lot of missiles, laser and stuff like that from 4 different ships, and you know, you just standing there and taking beating, right? It'd be nicer if you could just move, you know, shoot a little bit, you know, put something up, you know, send some kind of, you know, missiles, go up here, then use some kind of laser takeouts, you know. There should be some kind of skill component to actually fighting, right? I mean, there is definitely, you know, room for games where, you know, everything is shooting all the time, and there is a lot of stuff going on the screen, and these kind of games are a lot more popular than what I'm making. But I kind of just, you know, like, you know, the slow-paced combat system where, you know, slowly come to some kind of target, you shoot down, you go to the next target, shoot down, you meet some kind of NPC ship, you know, you put some kind of, you know, barrier up here, you go around, you shoot a little bit, you know, you go and hide behind the asteroid, you know, try to get it chase after you, you send some kind of, you know, rockets after it, and so forth, so forth. So for the next time, we're gonna, you know, work on the movement of the ship, because the ship is not actually moving 100% how I would like to feel, because when you're going straight line and you're turning around, it kind of doesn't stop. It kind of continues a little bit more than it should. So, you know, some kind of tweaking when it comes to ship. I'm pretty happy with the ship so far, but, you know, it needs a little bit more tweaking. And the bullets, the weapon systems and stuff like that needs to be fixed. So as soon as we fix that, we're gonna go over to the inventory system where we, you know, destroy the asteroids. They drop some loot, we pick up the loot, we can see it in our, you know, up here in our inventory system, and there is that, right? So far so good. The progress in the Godot is going well. You know, I'm learning new stuff every day. There is another channel called X Wizard. He's also making a game. You are welcome to check him out. And the guy is amazing. The guy is amazing. He's making, you know, the game, also space game like we are doing, but his game is a little bit different than our game, but definitely worth, you know, to check it out. And he did the same. I watched his video yesterday, and he did the strafing, you know, left to right with Q and E, and my first thought was he's a gamer, because I've seen some, you know, games that have this strafing left and right with some kind of weird key bindings like Z and C or something like that, but every gamer out there knows that strafing is Q and E, right? They just know that. So I'm really happy that he knows how to bind his abilities. That's very nice. And I'm learning a lot from the guy, because he's also starting with Godot, so he's a little bit ahead of me when it comes to certain stuff. So it's good that he has, you know, this try and error kind of, you know, progress, and then I can learn from that. So there is that. And as the last thing on this video, there is another video that I actually watched yesterday from a guy. I don't remember the channel. There is linked down below, and he explains the technology trees in the games, and it has my kind of you know, ideas about it. Oftentimes when people are building, you know, technological tech trees, and they are adding functionality to their, you know, systems in game, it's oftentimes like you get 5% of damage here, you get 5% of damage there, you get a little bit better shields, you can you know, do a little bit this, and this is kind of crap way to do that. Anytime you have any kind of upgrade in the game, it should not be like 5% you know, increase in the in this and that. It should be something visible, right? It should be something that you can be. If it's a 5% increase in game, then your weapon that's right now firing like, you know, 100 bullets should be firing like 3000 bullets after 5% increase. Okay, this is over exaggeration. I don't know what's called, but you understand. It should be something. Every upgrade should be something visible on the screen that player can actually feel that they have been, you know, done. It is affecting their game in some way, because just, you know, random stats increase during the technology tree increases and development, you know, discoveries, it's just not very playable. But definitely interesting video as well. You should check it out. So those three, you know, links to those three channels I will put down below. X-Wizard, great guy, building the space game like we do. The girl that's, you know, having, you know, huge progress in 1 week, you know, definitely worth to check it out. And this guy that's, you know, doing the, he's making also 2D platformer, but he has really good ideas about, you know, game feel and, you know, how the game should be, you know, set up. So definitely check out those three channels and those three videos. And with that, I'm gonna say bye bye, guys. I'm gonna see you in the next update, and hopefully in the next update we get a little bit more to talk about, hopefully it's not just, you know, sprites and stuff like that. Okay guys, I'll see you around. Bye bye.